What's up, guys? Izzy's here, and today I'm going to be doing my quick impressions of Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, this game has been highly anticipated for a long time amongst fans of not only beat 'em ups, Kunio games, or just your, even the fighting game community is. I've been seeing a few streams, like Yipes has been playing and Smug has been playing. And it's kind of cool to kind of see like Streets of Rage being brought into the cultural zeitgeist once again, actually being conversated with, because now I don't feel so dated by mentioning how much fun Streets of Rage 1 and 2 was. So yeah, let's just go into what my positives, what I liked about the game. And first and foremost, man, I was just so worried that the soundtrack was gonna be garbage, because I know that music is subjective, but there's just something about Streets of Rage 3 soundtrack that just didn't hit with me. And I've been kind of reading up on the review of it, and if you can hear that, that's Alicia walking in right now, so I apologize for the door closing and slamming.
Bitch.
And profanities. Yeah, let's get back into the review, guys. So yeah, so pretty much, yeah, so I've been really having a good time with the game. I can say I'm a happy camper here when it came to it. And I won't lie, is that the first time I actually got to boot up that game and I saw that title screen and those Sims hit with that recognizable soundtrack, kind of going back to my point in regards to Streets of Rage 3, was that the soundtrack just didn't really feel, it didn't have that identity that the first two games had established within the series. And like I was saying, is that I did read up on it, and what had happened was that the original composer, he wanted to have a more robotic sound to the third game, and it kind of makes sense because that story, you're introduced to Dr. Zan, and you're kind of going through a lot more warehouse facilities and like test labs, and it's crazy. It was the 90s, and they were pretty much everybody, a lot of things were influenced by James Cameron's Terminator. So I mean, you fight a fucking Robo X, Robo Mr. X in Third Strike. Third Strike. What? Maybe I want to play Third Strike right now. No, Streets of Rage 3. Yeah, so Streets of Rage 3. We're going through a lot of there's a lot of weird shit in that game. Like, for one, you fight this circus wrangler that has a boxing kangaroo at his side, and you can actually beat the fuck out of the circus wrangler, and you can unlock the kangaroo to play with. It was so cool. That was like the weirdest thing that I've seen in the series. But it gets weirder from there. Yeah, it gets very weird from there. You fight pretty much Mother Brain at the end of Streets of Rage 3. So going into 4, I was kind of wondering, are they gonna just lean into that? Are they gonna get super weird, or are they gonna go back to a fan favorite, which is Streets of Rage 2? And I'm actually happy to say that they went back with Streets of Rage 2, because there's actually a lot of drama for Streets of Rage 3 when it first initially came out, and I do remember that even myself, I found myself not really liking that entry into the game. So in terms of the music, like I was saying, is that it's good. The music is good. I love the melodies. I like that vibe. The beats are really good. Each level has its own identity. There's even a few bangers in there that I've just had on repeat on my Spotify. So awesome just to hear those tracks. In terms of the combat, they added a few more things. They kind of fleshed the combat just a little bit. They didn't go too crazy. It didn't really go too modern in terms of how people envision beat 'em ups, because I would say another high profile beat 'em up that came out recently or not too long ago would be River City Girls, which is actually a side scroll to the Kunio style games. And there's RPG elements, they have dashing, a heightened sense of mobility. The world is more interconnected. And the story is kind of, I would say that the story in that game, the artwork went into the storyboarding and the presentation of the story that it was telling, while Streets of Rage, that art style went into the actual hand-drawn sprites itself. And looking at the hand-drawn sprites, at first I was kind of nagging on it, because I've gotten so used to that classic retro look of Streets of Rage, and I think a lot of us had at first, because when we saw like hand drawn, I don't know, just something about looking at hand drawn sprites, it just kind of comes off like it's an Adult Swim like web game or flash game or something. I don't know. But I thought to myself that the 8-bit sprites, 16-bit sprites of that era were due to hardware limitations, and I'm sure that if the developers wanted to go back and create, this world again, they probably would want to make hand-drawn sprites to kind of deliver the best presentation that they could at the time. So the art style grew on me, and the backgrounds are gorgeous. Whoever did the backgrounds of that team, props to you, as well as everyone else, because, man, I gotta say that this game was a blast to go through, and it's definitely highly recommended that you go through with someone else, at least one more person, because you're gonna get the full Streets of Rage experience. Because when you and your buddy are just beating ass and you see that combo counter go up to over like 30, 40, 50, you really feel like you're in the zone. That's like the most fun I've had. And I'm actually going back through this game on Mania mode, which is insane. The bosses are hard, and it tells you right there in the settings that it is cheap and there is no ounce of fairness involved in that playthrough, and I know what I'm in for. So this opinion of the game is not based on that. It's actually based on just going through on the first normal difficulty, which had its challenges, but I never felt like it was the game's fault. I always felt like it was me messing up, or I wasn't quick enough to react, or just first time trial and error recognizing new boss patterns. So moving on from the combat, I definitely like the combat a lot in this game. And kind of overall the story is really simple. It doesn't need to be more complicated than there's a new threat in the city. Instead of Mr. X, you're taking on his offspring, the Y twins that they're referenced as. And the Y twins themselves as characters, I don't know how much you can really flesh out in a story this simple. It's just that aesthetically, they kind of stick out because they look more anime, and the other Western style influences in the character designs, it doesn't really translate too well, but that's like a minor nitpick, because overall, like, it didn't take away from the gameplay experience. So, hoping that if the game does sell well and they continue to make newer entries like Streets of Rage 5, that maybe they can tweak the design of the next antagonist, and even in regards to some of the reviews that I've already read and I've already listened to, there's a thing that there's this fine line whenever you take an older property and you want to bring it back to a modern era. Is, do you reinvent the wheel? Do you revolutionize that product, or do you try to, I guess you would say, pander and lean more into the nostalgic aspects, and I feel that Streets of Rage 4 hits a good balance, especially since we haven't seen a new entry in this series for almost 2 decades. So I feel like they had to play it safe. The best analogy I can think of is, it's almost like The Force Awakens, how everybody kept calling it A New Hope retold. And I get that, because it's bringing newer fans and older fans, and they want to reel you in to show that they still have the magic, and when they move forward, then hopefully they can do more revolutionary things, like maybe introduce more mobility into the combat, because Streets of Rage 3 actually did have dashing for, I want to say, the entire cast. The entire roster had dashing, but that's kind of getting more into the technical aspects of that. But I mean, besides all of the things that I've stated, I gotta say that my rating of the game is, I highly recommend it. It's currently available at $24.99 USD. Whatever that converts to in your own territory, just make sure you check. But I think it's a fair price, especially being, more of They're not even like AAA. It's more of like an indie game. It's kind of like a double A, single A game. It's worth the price, and if you have it on Game Pass, it's definitely worth the price because it's currently free. But that's gonna be it. I'm so glad that I got to kind of talk to you guys about Streets of Rage 4. Please feel free to let me know what you guys thought about the game, because I'm always open for discussion and I would love to hear from you. Please make sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and if you love the video, please feel free to subscribe. This is The Gamer. It's been so long. It's glad to be back. Hope to see you real soon again. Peace.